our sales process is like DNA. It's a bendable but not breakable way of handling clients and buyers to ensure the total effort with every opportunity. And what that means is we're going to do it exactly the same way every single time. It's like ISO 9000 for those of you that's been in manufacturing. And if you haven't been in manufacturing, basically ISO is this. Here's the book that says how we're going to do it. We do it according to the book, and here's the book that says how we did it. And if we have a problem in the process, we can go to that specific step in the process to identify the problem. So if we have a selling system that's set up exactly that same way, that it's a step-by-step process, if we're having trouble demoing or having trouble getting a write-up or having trouble closing somebody after the write-up, we can go to the step instead of dumping a bunch of car parts on the floor and putting the car together 16 different ways. We're going to do the process exactly the same way. But in this timeline that's in your book that says X and X and it says problem sell, in that little bitty slot I want you to write the word selling. Right there, between the X's, write the word selling. That's a timeline. And at the next X, I want you to write the word closing. So basically what I'm telling you is, gentlemen, if you spend this much time selling, you'll spend this much time closing. And I got news for you. The longer you talk about money, the less you make. Everybody hear me? The longer you talk about money, the less you make. The professional sale is just the opposite. Look here. If you spend this much time selling, you spend this much time closing. And there's a relationship when it's the longer you talk about money, the less you make. Best case scenario is book indicates we're going to be looking at your car at this with $1,000 down, your monthly payment's this, and the customer goes, great! Where do I sign? You're going to make a lot of money on that transaction, right? Yep. But if you go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth for 45 minutes trying to squeak out a minimum commission, the longer you talk about math, but the more time, the more desire of ownership you create, the more money your customer will pay for it. Because time spent with the customer obligates the customer to the salesperson, right? Time spent with the buyer obligates the customer to the salesperson. You have to remember that. Because there's only 5 decisions that a customer has to make in a buying process. Only 5. What to buy, where to buy, when to buy, and from whom to buy. That's the first 4. Here's the good news. If they're standing in your parking lot, are you in the running of those first 4 buying decisions? Aren't you? Yep. If they're talking to you on the phone, are you not in the running on those first 4 buying decisions? Of course you are. The only unanswered question is what? What's the only unanswered question?
What are you looking for?
No, price to pay. Isn't it? What if they've decided what to buy, where to buy, when to buy, and from whom to buy, the only question we've left them is how much is it? Price to pay. When they walk into the store, from the time you meet them, what's the first question that comes up? How much is it? What's it going to cost me? What's my payments going to run? How much can you give me my trade? I've only got 5 minutes. Ballpark me on what my car's worth. Price to pay is the first question that comes up. And the reason it's the first question that comes up is because the customer comes to the dealership with an overwhelming fear of loss, right? So knowing how to handle those price smokescreen objections from the beginning is going to help you make more money. Because you know what? That is a knee-jerk roadblock that the customer puts up born out of fear of loss. And if I know that's going to come up every single time without fail, no exception, I want about 17 ways to answer that question, build a bridge, and ask another control question. You have got to get something into their email box and get something into their mailbox so they remember, because I read a lot of stuff on Facebook. You know, I watch cats play with balls of yarn and watched, bad autocorrect. You need to, it needs to be something different and legitimate, right? Because people don't, they read Facebook casually. My daughter's 13 years old. She's got an iPod in front of her, iPhone right here, watching television all at the same time. I don't know how she retains anything. And that's, you need something in their inbox or their mailbox so that they know what you, because the worst thing to do is your buddy coming up, hey Kenny, what are you doing? I'm selling cars, man. Well, we just bought a Camry. I wish I'd have known you'd work here. I'd have hollered at you. You don't think that happens? Then Kenny holds a sales meeting. Hey guys, come here. That guy sold the car right out from under. That's one of my best friends, and he sold him a car. I hope you're only talking to the mirror, because that's who you should be mad at, right? The average closing ratio on a new business contact, or what I say comes out of our circle of influence, is 30%. If you're sending out letters, if you're making phone calls to your circle of influence, and you get one of those people in the dealership, you got a 30% shot to close that customer, sell that customer a car. Now, if you draw a line from, like one of these little lines, from repeat owner to new business like that, not including fresh up, you'd say you need to write good, and then where it says fresh up, you need to write bad. See that? Because your sources of business, the best sources of business, are someone other than some person that just walked in the door. 30 days from now, I'm going to ask you this question. How many opportunities did you have this month? What source of business did they come from? And are you working the most productive group of people? That's the question that you have to ask yourself at the end of every single month, right? I'm going to let you be my guinea pig. If I say to this customer, welcome to Frank Fletcher Toyota, I'm Jim, and you are? Lucas. Where'd my head go?
His eye.
No, it did it first, and then what I do?
Turn so you
I
can
cocked it so I could hear him, right? So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to say, welcome to Frank Fletcher Toyota, I'm Jim, and you are? Lucas. Now, this is a firm handshake, okay? I call this the John Lopez handshake, where he's trying to break your arm. Yeah. It's a firm handshake. I didn't shake his hand like this. Here. Hey, you like that? You like that hand? Two-handed shaker, by the way. You can be. I'm a two-handed. But my greeting is always going to be, welcome to Frank Fletcher Toyota. I'm Jim, and you are. And I'm going to tilt my head. I'm going to introduce myself and tilt my head. The only question he gets to answer in my initial greeting is what? His name. That's a greeting. Number two is, you've got to respect, this is it. Do this. Okay? Have I ever met you before today other than our interview? Okay? This is as close as we get to get. I've got to respect comfort zone. Okay? And until you're intimate with somebody and they become your friend, we're all good right here, right? Yep. I had a guy who used to work for me, stay here. I had a guy that used to work for me named Joe Wazanik. Joe was a portly, middle-aged, happiest guy I ever met my whole life that had no concept of comfort zones. And he worked at our Honda store for Roper for many, many years. And his greeting was like this. Hey, welcome to Roper Honda. I'm Joe. What's your name? No kidding. Yeah. Hand in the small of his back, just hugged up. Good to see you. And I'm going to tell you, if you've never met a guy before, he starts talking to you this close, and you get, right? Yeah. Okay, sit down. So, when I told you I leave nothing to chance in these meetings, I'm going to teach you how to shake hands. I'm telling you right now, a firm handshake, a warm smile, and a word of welcome. Okay? Welcome to Frank Fletcher Toyota. I'm Jim Adams, and you are, and I'm going to tilt my, I can't even say it without tilting my head. And tilt my head, and I'm going to get their name. Now, people love pictures of themselves. They'll pretend like they don't. But if you show them a group photo, the first photo they're going to look at is themselves. We're talking about basic sales psychology. If you show them a picture with 100 people in the picture, they're going to find themselves first.
Yeah.
Anytime you use a customer's name, they pay more attention. So if he says, Lucas, I'm going to work very, very hard to say Lucas's name to him throughout the process. Not so much that it sounds corny,
Right.
but I'm going to do it for two reasons. Number one, I need to remember it. The worst thing in the world you can do is when you're getting their title work started, don't have to ask, and what was your name again? Bad luck. Bad luck. A bad luck greeting is, can I help you? Because the response is, I'm just looking. That's a bad luck greeting. You can say it if you want to, as long as you understand, it means nothing, their answer. When you're up, be up, mentally and physically prepared to take an opportunity. A firm handshake, a warm smile, a word of welcome, and respect their comfort zone. If you do that, you're on your way to a professional sale. But you can screw it up by not being up, not being out there. That you're jacking around doing something else, and you look up and you see a customer about ready to get back in your car, and you run out there, hey, can I help you folks? No, we've already looked. They get back in their car, they were here 90 seconds, they drive to Crossroads Chevrolet and say, God, I was at Fletcher Toyota for 15 minutes, nobody ever come out and waited on me, until right before I was getting ready to leave. And they might have been here 90 seconds. But the truth of the matter is, 90 seconds is a long time on a car lot. Right? We subscribe to the theory of LLBB. That's an acronym that means they got to like you before they'll listen to you before they'll believe you, and believe you before they'll buy from you. But first they got to like you. And the only way they're going to like you is if you get out there promptly, give them a firm handshake, a warm smile, a word of welcome, and respect their comfort zone. That's the first step. There's only 12 steps in the car business. Just 12. And there's only 10 or 12 customers. Everybody looks different. Some are fat, some are skinny, some are tall, some are short, some of them are pretty, some of them not so much. But they all have the same, there's about 10 different personality traits. And as long as you can figure out who you're dealing with, it's really easy to sell those 10 people a car. But everybody likes the sound of their own voice, and everybody likes to hear their name. And their attention span will go up by 30 or 40% if you say their name back to them. Lucas, let me show you this. Or, look, I know, Lucas, you said this is going to be important. Every time you say their name, they listen. They're boop, because you're not a mark on the wall. That you're somebody that has value to that salesperson because they enough to remember their name, right? That's why I ask you guys over and over and over and over. I've got Kyle, I've got Lucas, I've got Russ, I've got Kenny, and I'm still, tell me, Paul, just like my Uncle Paul, just like my Uncle Paul Adams. Okay, gotcha. See, and God, we've only been at half a day. 3 weeks from now, you won't want me to know your name. All right, step one. How many of you feel like you could do step one with a little practice? Easy enough, isn't it? This is where it starts to get difficult. Step two is called the professional investigation. Okay?